Well, hello and welcome to BBRC, Britain and English. Well, thank you very much for joining me here today on this special anniversary, the second anniversary of BBRC, Britain and English. So happy birthday, BBRC, Britain and English. Thank you very much for joining me here today, and those of you who have joined in the last couple of years, a very warm welcome to you, and I hope that some of the material I've produced over those 2 years has been of benefit to you. And I know some of you from abroad who I have actually specifically designed some of the content for may have found it interesting, especially if you want to improve your English or visit England. And I know some of you are, of course, using English as a second language. Well, as I say, happy birthday to the channel. We've created about, this is the 75th broadcast transmission. So ratio of about 3 a month or so, and I was going to do one a week originally. I think I did for the first 12 weeks or so, but due to viewership and perhaps slowly gaining in popularity, I did slow it down to perhaps 2 or 3 a month, and we've gone on from there. So you're very welcome to tell your friends if you think they might find it interesting. I do try and separate the differences between the Americanisms and other language uses, and perhaps modern word uses and everything else which crops in. And plus there's been a few on location broadcasts as well. Well, as I say, thanks for joining me. Well, today, looking at the weather, it's quite cold. You wouldn't believe it's nearly, well actually we are in the spring tide really. We're well into Lent, but of course the meteorological start of spring is actually the 21st of March in this country. So my actual advice would be, if you want to come to England, try and perhaps leave it till probably the end of March, April, because then it's getting warmer. Certainly today it's cold. Minus 16 last night in the Scottish Highlands, and we even had snow here yesterday morning, but it was only a light dusting, as they say. Well, I've got my mug of tea here, and I urge you, perhaps if you're in one of the cooler climates, have your cup of tea at the ready. Hopefully we'll have a nice summer, but I know some of you are in hot countries, so you're probably drinking more orange juice and tropical fruit juice. Now today, I'm going to look at some words. It'll be quite a brief session, probably. But before I start, I'd like to just say, thanks for joining me, and I do hope that you'll tell your friends. I did do a session about Americanisms a while ago. You know, I try not to use too many notes. I don't read from a sheet. I usually just have a few key notes. But I try and, as they say in the industry, ad lib, which is without too much in the way of the shackles of notes and literature and everything to read out, because I like to talk to you. But the word route is R-O-U-T-E, and it is pronounced route in English. In American, it's pronounced route for some reason. I don't know why. Any ideas? Well, anyway, by the way, you might notice I've got a barber shirt on here. Bit of a jazzy tie here as well. Any of you tie connoisseurs? Bought a few ties recently. There's no product placement, by the way, when I do mention any names or anything else. Certainly, and that's when a company does pay towards having some particular product on screen, even for 2 seconds, like Cadbury's, or, I mean, here we are, as example here, Imperial Leather, there we are, that shower cream there, Moroccan sunset, there we are. If you saw that in the background, you might think, oh, what's that, you know, and of course it's a legitimate brand. Well, on we go. I'm going to go through some words here. As usual, I'll try and put them on the screen. You'll see them on the screen. There'll be some longer words. And hopefully, there'll be words you've not heard of before. Surreptitiously. Surreptitiously. Connotations. Cathartic. Pejorative. I'll throw in a homonym here. You may remember we went through homonyms a while ago. Cycle. You may remember that's a word with two meanings. Emulate, apathy, prosperity, Ponzi, inhumane, vacillate, transparency, matriculation, televised, indeterminate, discombobulated, disqualified, excommunicated, charlatan, anecdote, antidote, contemplate, monotony, indigenous, consistency, utopia, unanimous, procurement, assessment, innuendo, stabilize, monologue, dialogue, motion, remote, lavatory. Well, there's an exhaustive set of long words mainly there, and I hope that's helpful to you, and I will put them on screen. And the other thing I've noticed in this country, and if you come to England, by the way, like I say, come during the spring or summer, some of the Americans creeping in. One of my American friends says all the bad American things tend to come here to England. Well, sad really. Most people like their iPhones, but not perhaps on the American things that are not so positive from America. But when you get on a bus, you might say, you want to ask the driver for a ticket, so you use the most politest English and you'll say something like, most likely, "Oh, hello, may I have a ticket, or a day ticket, or a ticket between whatever place you are?" So you might say, if you're in Yorkshire, you might say, if you're going from Sheffield out to Castleton, Sheffield to Castleton return. He might say, oh, better to buy a day rider, so or a day saver. So you'll buy the day saver, which means you can go all round different places. But do ask which ones correspond to which area, because there are different areas where they're in operation, and the costs can vary. So you don't want to get on a bus somewhere else and find that it's not actually valued there. And of course, there's different bus companies as well. So be aware that's just another side point there. But you say, may I have? But sometimes the young people in this country tend to say, can I get? And that's from America. And I've talked to my American friend about all this. Starting the sentence with some words which probably are not the best English. When some people might say, like if there's a continuity in the sentence, so you're expecting there might be something different before. So you're thinking, what was said before? You know. So, for example, hello, how are you? Today I'm going to talk about. That's what you're saying. But laziness perhaps dictates that you'll say, so today, or you'll just say, so tomorrow night we're going down the pub. Do you want to come? That's what I mean. Very informal. Anyway, thanks very much for joining me here today. Now, I have got a party popper here. Remember I had one of these last year, so I let this one off. And I say, Barber, as I mentioned earlier, not receiving anything for saying that. I just like the brand. It's up in South Shields. I think it's Gibbside up in South Shields, right up in the northeast of England. They've got a factory shop up there as well. But this is shirt, and I've got a jacket. They can get coats, jackets, ladies wear, men's wear, shirts, trousers, coats, everything else, leather goods I think as well. Various items there. And they did a lot during the pandemic, making a lot of the PPE, and it was the best quality. They all wanted to fight over it more or less. Certainly the nurses and doctors wanted Barbour more than most of the others. So all credit to them up in the northeast of England. Now, gonna let this party popper off without breaking anything. Here goes. Happy birthday, BBRC, Britain and English. Oh, there it goes. Well, you've probably seen one of these before. There it goes. Thanks very much for joining me here today. Have a good day now. Bye-bye.